Okay guys, so today we're gonna cover the Nova Smart Ring, right? So just to let you know, they did reach out to me. They did send me this ring for free, but they didn't tell me what I should do, right? And they didn't pay me as well. So it's just a free ring, just to be transparent with you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna give my honest review about this. So what happens is you get, when you buy this, okay, so roughly right now it's about 180 US dollars or 179 US dollars, right? They did tell me that they were gonna send me a link or like a code so I can give you guys an additional percentage off as well. And I see if you're a first-time buyer, you get an additional 10% off. So I'm not so sure if that's tax, right? But check it out, okay? So when you first order, you actually get this nice box, right? It's called the Nova Smart Ring. Particularly, we're testing the Nova R, okay? So basically, this is a sizing guide, right? So it tells you over here, choose your finger, the best performance and accuracy. We recommend wearing your ring on your index finger, right? This one. Okay, if you prefer another, the middle and ring can work as well. Avoid fingers where the base is lower than the knuckle. Okay, wearing position. So, me, I picked the 7, right? And I particularly wanted it in my wedding ring because, I'll be honest, I've actually lost my wedding ring before and my wife made me another one, right? And basically, you know, I'm gonna be wearing this as my quote-unquote wedding ring. So guys, try all the rings, right? And when you wear it, okay, what's supposed to happen is you see there's like a small mark here. I'm not so sure if you guys can see that. Okay, there's like a small indent over here. That's supposed to be at the bottom, okay? So make sure that it's there. And what I would suggest is wear the ring, the one that you want, the size that you want, for a prolonged amount of time, right? If you're gonna wear it while showering, try to do activities that you want to do with it. If you're gonna weight lift, if you're gonna swim, if you're gonna run, if you're gonna play pickleball, right? And especially when you sleep, right? The reason why I want you guys to use it for a longer amount of time is, first of all, test the different fingers that you wanna wear it in. So say for instance, the 7 doesn't fit my index finger, but it fits my ring finger, right? So try that. Maybe for a couple of days, try the 8 as well, right? It should be loose enough that you can move it around, okay? So this isn't the first ring that I've tried, right? I actually got my brother's Aura before. And one thing that I didn't like is when it's here in between fingers, and if it's a little larger, if you're sleeping, right, sometimes napipisa yung kamay mo, right? Your fingers get pressed, right? And it hurts over time, right? So that's why when I wore this 7, where's the bottom, right? When I wore the 7, since it's not as wide, right? It's a smaller fit, it felt more comfortable, okay? So that's why I picked the 7. So guys, take your time. Take your time when picking this kasi sayang naman yung pera if you get the wrong size, right? So it actually says here, even try it for 24 hours. Ako personally, use it a bit longer. Okay, so let's get into the unboxing. So let's just show the box a bit, right? So they've got their Nova Ring logo. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention, right? So the Nova Ring, right, the R, it comes in silver, right? And when I saw this test rings, I was like, oh, ganda ng black, right? Look at it. No? Medyo maganda yung black, right? I thought it was gonna be black, but apparently, it's just the test rings that are black, no? They do have another one. It's like a crystal one. But they said that they're still fixing some bugs in it. So we're gonna open up this Nova R, right? And it only comes in silver, unfortunately. So ayan siya guys. So apparently it's a box within a box, right? I do like this, you know, there's like a highlight of blue, right? Honestly, sana they didn't place Nova Smart Ring, no? marketing-wise, parang the simpler the better, parang Apple aesthetic, right? So you've got Nova Smart Ring, Bluetooth 5.1, lithium polymer, operating temperature 0 to 50 degrees Celsius, and then of course it's dust resistant and waterproof, right? Waterproof siya up to 5 atmospheres, right? So let's open this. So it comes with a small pouch, right? Okay, there's nothing there. And then we've got the actual ring. So nakalagay size 7 like I said, no? So you can see here, parang brushed metal siya. Supposedly titanium. Okay? And then over here it has like a small notch, right? So this notch is supposed to be in the bottom of your finger. So at least you know, parang kakapain mo na lang, right? And then you can see there, no, in the bottom it's clear, right? Nova R, US 7. Okay, and then it's nice that you can see the internals as well, right? Okay, so let's put this aside. Let's see what else is inside. So you've got user manuals, quick start guide. We'll check that out later once we set it up. Okay, and then this one comes with a USB-C connector. Okay, I think this is like 0.5 lang. Small, maliit lang siya. Okay, and then finally, you've got this handy-dandy charging port, right? And then what happens is it's just magnetic. There, it's nice, oh? Automatic. It just goes right in. Okay, and then USB-C to USB-A. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna charge this first, and then we're gonna do a setup. Okay. So guys, I've got it hooked up already right now, no? So like I showed you previously, so if you see there's like a small dot here, that's actually a magnet. It just connects there, okay? And then you'll see like a red dot here, right? Red LED. So that's gonna keep flashing and blinking red until it becomes green when it's fully charged, right? So mababa lang yung drain niya. So I do have like a watt meter here. So parang 1 watt lang yung charging rate niya. Okay? So I already have the Play Store up here. No? I'm gonna show you guys how to install it using Android. Okay, so I've got my Fold here. So you can see here, it's called Nova Ring, not to be confused with the Nova Ring, right? Which always comes up, right? So it's just a 42 meg install. So let's go ahead and install it. Okay, that was fast, no? So let's open it up. Okay, so you do have to register. So I'm gonna go register right now. Okay, now that we've registered, it's gonna ask you what your gender is. So female or male. Male next. Let me place my birth year. Obviously, I'll be blurring this because I don't want you to know my birth year, PII and all. What is my height? I am 5'8". I am 68 inches. My weight right now, okay, I believe my step length is roughly about 2 feet. So let's just go 25 para safe. Okay, so welcome to Nova Ring. Sure, I'll allow you. Okay, so now that's done, we just go to add device. So I'll allow this only while Okay, so so it's found the ring. So guys, at this point, obviously, I've only had the ring for less than an hour. So I have to use it, and I'll talk about all the features in a bit. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the future. Hey guys, so we've had this ring for roughly about 2 weeks now, right? I've used it every day for about 2 weeks, right? So let's go over like all of the stuff, right? So I do have the website up, and one thing that I wanted to mention that this ring actually went on Kickstarter last year. Okay, so it says here Nova Ring ChatGPT 4 enabled smart stylish ring. Okay, so you can see here they sold about 248. No, sorry, 252. No, and they sold it for roughly $159. So this is what we're testing right now, right? The Nova Smart R ring. Okay. And then they also have the crystal. So this is the other ring that they actually have available. So it seems that they only sold about 11 of the R and the 169. So I actually asked for the Nova Smart Crystal one because I felt like it would be a more interesting review, and you know, I feel like it's basically the same ring, right? But they actually said that they would prefer to send me the R because the crystal one had battery issues, right, that they're still resolving. Okay, so fair enough. Okay, so there you go. So they sold quite a bit. I think they raised more than 100,000 US dollars, right? So I tried to search online also, and it seems that there were no particular issues with regards to delivery, none that I could see, right? So I just really wanted to test that out as well, right? So let's go through all of the stuff that they mentioned, right? So first of all, it's $180. And the Kickstarter is $150, right? So the pricing isn't that bad. So with regards to ordering, I can't really comment here because they actually sent this over to me for free, and they sent me the ring guide, which I showed you already, right? So we're not really going to talk about that. So they said that this ring is lightweight, skin friendly, so definitely it is, right? So I have like I wear this even when I shower. I take it off as well, no, but I actually leave it wet in the shower, so it hasn't broken yet. I've also weighed this ring, and it does come in at only about 3 grams. So I've actually weighed this, so that one's very, very true. No? There are no subscriptions. I haven't, so like I mentioned, I've only used this in the shower, right? I actually do swim, but for some reason in this past 2 weeks, I actually didn't. So I wasn't able to test that. I did test, I've been playing a lot of pickleball recently, and I did test it there. I'll show you my test results also in a while, no? It feels like nothing tracks everything. So quite frankly, it is very comfortable as long as you make sure that you get the right size, right? So it does have the sleep tracking, and I'll show that to you right now. Okay, so let's go over here. Okay, so you can see here, okay, it's tracked a couple of my sleep cycles, right? But it's very sporadic, no? It missed a couple of days. I'll place this side by side with my Mi Band. So I've done a previous review on this Mi Band. I find it to be very consistent. So like I mentioned, so this is my Mi Band 9, right? I know there's a 10 out right now, but I don't see the point in buying that. Very, very minor updates, right? So we've got the ring application over here on the left, no? And then I've got the Mi Band application here, right? So let's specifically talk about sleep. In terms of the time, it's pretty spot on, no? Let's look at the sleep ratio, right? So REM was on 1 hour 43 minutes. Light sleep was 3 hours here and 2 hours 59. And then deep for some reason is 2 hours here and this is 1 hour, right? My average sleep heart rate was spot on as well, right? So here's one thing, no? This one does record my HRV. This is a nice feature on top of um, the other versus the Mi Band, right? So you can see here that this does record also the temperature, so that one's also very nice as well, right? So say for instance you've got fluctuations with regards to your temperature, but one thing that I want to note, it doesn't give you actual temperature, it only gives you a baseline and like up and down, right? We'll look at some other stuff after this, no? It also looks at the sleep movement as well, right? Now, in terms of blood oxygen, so this one does set 97%. I've got 95. I really don't care about like these very small fluctuations, right? So let's look at the next day. So here I've got 8 hours and 6 minutes. Okay. This one recorded 7 hours and 41. So I slept at 1:28. So I slept at 1:27 here. I woke up at 9:20 here. And I woke up at 9:30, so it's almost the same as well, right? Next day 6 hours 33. So this one's very interesting. Okay, so there have been this is one thing that I want to point out. It's not that consistent, and for sure I was wearing the ring, and the ring's pretty snug on my finger, right? So you can see here, it's not like, yeah, I can spin it around, but it definitely will not get off, right? Unless I really like turn it around and place force and take it out, right? So you can see here that supposedly I slept at, what is this? 2:45, and I only slept for 1 hour 24, no? Which is very weird because I definitely, like you can see here, I definitely did sleep during this day, right? Next night's pretty good. And then the 10th, and this one I was wearing it again and it did not record as well, right? 11th. So I kind of want to go back here, right? I want to go back to the day that it did not record. So let's go through that. So it actually skipped a couple of days, right? So you can see here, the Wednesday it did not record. The Monday it did record. So let's go back to that Monday. So when you go back to the Monday, you can see here that supposedly I slept at around 11 p.m. and it recorded it as a nap, right? But there was another day here that I wanna point out, right? So typically these sleep trackers, they're able to record naps, right? So this particular day, which was September 12th, I was actually playing pickleball during this day, no? So I kind of want to point out the nap. So this nap, okay, which was on September 12th,
no, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
so let's go back here to the application. So definitely, like, it really is a nice application, right? A couple of things that I just wish that maybe you can expand this chart a little bit, like in the other applications. Once you go here, you can actually like zoom in a little bit, right? This one definitely doesn't do it, but there's a ton of different suggestions that it would give you and a lot of information, right? But however, for the sleep, I just wish that it was a little bit more consistent, right? So like 2 nights, one night it failed to register, another night it just recorded me napping, so to speak, right? So definitely the tracking needs to be a little bit better. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the heart rate, whether it's accurate or not, right? So let's go back here. Let's go here to heart rate. So you can see here, September 13. The trend lines more or less stack up. So one thing that I do want to point out, like in terms of like my actual BP, beats per minute, this one definitely records a bit higher. By the way, I've also compared the Xiaomi Band to an Apple Watch, and it's pretty accurate. No, I would say that the Ring registers something a bit lower as well. But if you look at the total time here, it's kind of weird. Like, why does it only show 2 hours, right? I'm not so sure if it didn't get the whole day, but you can see here, I mean, definitely, it got the whole day, right? You can see that each time there is a record day, right? And by the way, while we're here, I do want to show you something, right? So you can see here the time period, right? It seems that it pings your heart rate every 30 minutes. And it does that automatically. There's no way to set a higher or lower number for that as well. Okay, so that's heart rate. Could be a little bit more accurate, right? And let's go to the heart rate here, and let's see what it records inside the application. So 81, 82, 83. So, okay, so not bad. No, let's double check the blood oxygen. So it says here 98% and 99 on the application. Okay, so I mean, it's not bad. Stress, I wouldn't really place that much into that. I'll show you the rest of the application right now as well. You've got like the recovery here. So honestly, the app's pretty nice, right? Honestly, the app's pretty nice. Let's show you a different day, right? So you can see here, activity 700 steps. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later, right? You've got sleep time, sleep ratio, and then I did show you the sleep area. This one's pretty nice. So it does give you like all of these other videos that you can run, sleep, restful sleep. So you can download that. It's a meditation. You can do a lot of yoga stuff. So that's a very nice add-on considering that there's no subscription. And then if you go through the rest of the application, you can see this is the only way that you can see how much battery you have left, which we're going to talk about in a while. No? You do have your goals. You've got your steps, calories, exercises. What's interesting is you can split this out per day as well, right? So if I only, like maybe my Saturday, Sunday, I don't really want to hit a specific target because that's my rest day, I can change that. So that's nice that they thought of that. Okay. You've got other, so you can do imperial, Celsius, low battery reminder, right? The prompt will actually be in your phone because there's no way for this ring to actually inform you. You've got heart rate alert, blood oxygen during sleep, menstrual cycle if you're a girl. Okay, I'm obviously not a girl. So this gesture control is very interesting, but guys, it's very limited. So see, it took a picture. You can like wave or something and it'll fire away. Unfortunately, this only uses this application, right? There is no way for you to right? There's no way for you to zoom in or anything. The only thing that you can play around with is actually this flash over here, no? And you can flip the selfie camera. So it's very limiting, right? Compared to like the actual camera application that you have in your phone. Firmware, so I just wanted to show you this has the latest firmware. MOY i7 1.1.2. I wish it showed the date of that firmware as well. You can connect it to Strava. I don't want to connect this to Strava, no? So even if I update to beta, it doesn't really show there as well, no? And then you've got a customer service. Let's go back to the main menu, okay? So this is where things get a bit interesting. And obviously, like, you buy a tracker because workouts, okay, or activities that you want to do, okay. So here's something that I wanted to show you, okay. So let's move into exercise records, and I'm gonna pop open the exercise that I've done, right? So unfortunately, Xiaomi doesn't have pickleball. This application does have pickleballs. So obviously, I would select pickleball if there was pickleball, right? So let's start here with the stuff that it was able to record, right? So you can see here, I played golf for about what's this? So I played golf for roughly about an hour, a little bit less than an hour actually, you know. So same times, no, more or less for about 48, 49 minutes, no. So you can see here the heart rates, correct, right? Average heart rate is 97, 98. You do have a max 122 here. My max here was 118. Okay. If you look at the trend, more or less the same, right? No. But here's where things get a bit interesting, right? So typically, let's pick September 8th, okay? So when you turn on activity here, what happens is you have to go here, start an activity, okay? And then I would pick tennis, and then we would click start, okay? Then it would show you just these three things, right? Calories, steps, and heart rate, okay? Literally, that's it, no? Unfortunately, sometimes this one would not really crash, it would just stop or go away, right? And let's go back here, no? So this happened multiple times. So you can see here, I actually played pickleball for a good 4 hours, like 3 hours and 40 minutes, right? I turned this on at roughly the same time. So this is the first thing that I wanted to point out. Like I mentioned, it sort of like stops when I have a extended exercise. So it stops roughly about, there's no predetermined time, right? I think it's because your phone is working in the background, no? Or I'm not so sure if sometimes maybe I go far from my phone and then it stops. So that's why, right? And it's not able to collect, no? But if you can see here, so this is how I track how many games I played at pickleball. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I played 7 games. But here's it. 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit how would I say, spikier and less easy to read, no? Because you can see here, I can actually expand this also. If I showed you that I can place this on horizontal, this would make a lot more sense, right? So you can see here, I mean, the dips are there, right? More or less, the dips are there. But yun nga, it ended before my actual session, right? And I'm not so sure if this is a limitation for all rings or maybe just this ring, because this is the first ring that I've actually used, right? But here's one thing that kind of got me, okay? So you can see here, let's look at my heart rate, no? So you can see here, my heart rate, you can see the watch, anaerobic for about 1 hour and 3 minutes, fat burning for 1 hour and 14 minutes, and then aerobic for roughly about an hour, okay? So let's compare that. So aerobic for roughly about an hour, VO2 max for about 16 minutes. Here it seems that in my other phone, it shows that I only did about a minute, right? So there's some discrepancies, I would say, right, with regards to the two. But here's the biggest issue for me. Look at how many calories I burned in 3 hours. 472 kilocalories. Okay, here 2,162 kilocalories. And what's interesting about that is that I compared this against my wife's Apple Watch, and you know, it was roughly about more than 2,000. I compared it against other people's. It was also roughly more than 2,000. So parang it's a bit weird, right? let's just bring up just the application, right? So you can see here on September 6, right? I did 95 minutes. So I actually played pickleball twice this day, right? 95 minutes, and then so an hour and a half, 257 calories. Here, once again, I definitely played more than that, no? And it only showed 500 calories. So very super duper weird na ang baba ng calorie count niya. So for me, that's a bit of a deal breaker because it doesn't show you the proper calories that you burn, and definitely it's something that definitely this is a main reason why you buy such a product. So of course for me that's definitely a negative, right? So let's move into, I'm gonna share my screen now, no? So you can see here in the Nova R, it says that it charges for roughly 1 hour. So let's go through that first. Okay, so how did I do this? I actually recorded the charging time, right? Because unfortunately, like when you place the ring, okay, in the charger, it just shows you that it's charging. It doesn't show you how much percentage it is. So I actually had to take a video here, which I'll show you right now. So this was a ring that was completely dead, right? So we roughly started charging about 1:30 p.m. So you can see here, nag-fully charged siya roughly about an hour and 3 minutes. I've actually done 2 of these tests, and it's more or less standard, no? One thing of note is that I actually have like this display here, which actually checks how much watt. So you can see here, it actually shows 0 watts. You can see here, no? So definitely, like, minsan nagsuspike siya ng 1 watt. But definitely, it's been charging like a 1 watt and less lang, right? So it's not like super fast charging. That's my first comment. I believe like they can probably do like faster charging for this, no? Now, here's the thing. They promise 5 days of power, right? I believe even for the Crystal, 5 days yan. 5 days of power, right? I've never hit 5 days of power. So typically, companies would actually, especially when they're talking about like certain things about the product that they're selling. So ito, nakalagay 4 to 7 days, right? But in my own testing, right? So for instance here, at 12 noon, nag-100 ako, right? This one only lasted me, maybe because I played pickleball as well for like 4 hours. It only lasted me about 2 days and 22 hours. Then nag-recharge ako for about 1 hour, right? And then yan, 100% siya at 3 p.m. Okay. So no. So here on the second pass, it died, I believe, roughly about mga 5 a.m., right? I was asleep, right? But by the time this was the 1 to 3rd day, by 11 p.m., 7% na lang siya, right? So I can only assume like it was about 3 days. Let's assume that it was still up at 5 a.m. na tumagal siya about mga 3 days and 14 hours lang. I doubt that it would ever reach the 5-day mark. Best case na siguro ang 4 days, right? Maybe 3.5 days. Okay, guys. So let's wrap this up, right? Let's do pros and then cons. Okay, so pros. You know, the ring's pretty lightweight, right? It's very comfortable in terms of like my comparison versus like the Aura, which I think I got the wrong size, right? I got an 8, this was a 7. Medyo masakit siya when my fingers would crunch together like that, no? The other one is the app is actually very well thought out, right? It doesn't seem that this is like one of those really cheap Chinese, I just Google translated it type of thing. They also had the camera gesture thing, right? Where you would just like shake the hand that your ring's in and it would take a picture. But what's nice is at least they're thinking of things like that, no? There was that wellness portion, which I really liked, no? And it was very smart of them to make it that each video was like downloadable so it wouldn't bloat the application. In terms of the sleep portion, right? When it did record, the sleep was actually pretty accurate. It is very comparable to the Xiaomi as I showed in the start of this video. Same thing with the heart rate and the SpO2 levels. And then of course, it is very affordable, right? The ring goes for about 170 to 190 US dollars. And more importantly, there are no subscriptions, right? You get everything once you buy it, okay? Now let's move into the cons. The first one was the battery, right? I typically get around 2 to 3 days. But of course, that's with everything turned on. And they do say 4 to 7, right? The bottom figure is 4, right? And then ako, I'm only getting about 2, right? So, you know, I mean, just advertise the correct numbers, right? Even Samsung, whose ring, mind you, bulges up, right? We've seen this in social media in the past few weeks that they've been getting issues with regards to the battery of the ring, right? But even they advertise the ring lasts anywhere between 1 to 7 days, right? You know, guys, just advertise the correct figure, no? And wala tayong issue, okay? And then the other one was the inconsistency in both the sleep and nap recordings, right? Some days it wouldn't record my sleep, some days it wouldn't record my sleep, right? And then in fact, one time while I was playing pickleball, it said I was napping at the time. And trust me guys, hindi ako nagnanap noon, okay? And the most important one was for exercise naman, right? First of all, it would drop recording because of course it's app dependent, no? It doesn't really, I'm assuming it doesn't store much here, right? So it passes everything onto the application. And mind you, the phone I'm using is a Samsung, so it's not like, you know, a lower quality phone. And of course, the dropping only happens during prolonged workouts, right? So long jogs, bike rides, or even like my 4-hour pickleball sessions, no? And then of course, you know, you want to record each and every single step of the way, right? With regards to your exercise, no? If you've been jogging for like 4 hours or 5 hours, if you've been biking for 4 to 6 hours, right? Ayaw mo na may stop yon, okay? Now, the other one was the inconsistency on the readings, right? In terms of calorie count. So for me personally, that's a big thing. And, you know, when I was discussing this with another techie friend of mine, he mentioned that, you know, I should show you guys the comparable readings, not only in the Xiaomi, but even in the Apple Watch, okay? So what I did is this, okay? So as you can see here, I've got both the Xiaomi, okay? And then the one in my phone is actually the ring, right? Because there's no display for the ring, but you can see it in real time using the application. And then as you can see here, this is an Apple Watch, right? So you can see here, they're both at 38 minutes, right? Of course, iba yung seconds because I turned them on at different times, right? Heart rate's exactly the same, 137, right? 136 for the Xiaomi, okay? And it's true, right? The Xiaomi is on the higher end. It says 455 kilocalories, right? And then the Apple Watch, this one's a bit more interesting, right? It shows 241 in terms of active calorie count. And then there's a total calorie count, right? So obviously, like the total calorie count is based off the, you know, it includes even the times when you're not working out. So in pickleball, you rest after each match, okay? But here, you can see here in the ring, it shows 123 kilocalories. So it's almost half of the active of the iPhone, right? So this is at 38 minutes. Let's move forward. This is at 2 hours, okay? So I'll start with the Xiaomi. Once again, a little bit higher, right? And I'm gonna do a review on this. This is the Mi Band 10, okay? So you've got 1,297, and then 900 for the Apple, okay? And then 732 for the Active, right? And in comparison with the Ring is like half of that of the Active of the Apple Watch, okay? Now, this was towards the end. This was like a 3-hour session, a pickleball session, so medyo mas shorter, right? So once again, the Xiaomi was 1,700, right? You can see the heart rate. This one, I just finished the match, pretty strenuous match. So more or less the same, 156, 157, 157, right? So in terms of kilo count, 1,766 on the Xiaomi. Okay, 1,051 on the Apple Watch, and then 467. So almost exactly half talaga of the Apple Watch. So let's compare the app readings, right? So these are the post-workout app readings, no? So here you've got the Nova Ring, and then here in the middle I've got the Apple, and then in the rightmost I've got the Xiaomi band. So 468 kilocalories, okay, and then in the Apple 1,055, and then 17, no, sa Xiaomi. So it's almost like they're in opposite spectrums. And I even sent an email and spoke to Nova about this, and they said like it really depends on the type of device that you're using. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree, right? I would say like the Apple would be the most consistent amongst all of them, right? But you know, I just wanted to show this to you as well, because I do consider this a con, no? I think like we've seen so many reviews in terms of the Apple Watch. This is a very consistent health device. And in terms of this ring being half of the calories of the Apple Watch, medyo sablay ng konti for me, right? But in terms of readings, accurate naman talaga siya. I mean, look at the trend, right? You can see here, the trend is almost exactly the same for all, right? In terms of heart rate, you can see here, 140, 152, 151. So, almost the same naman talaga siya. Okay? Now, just to wrap this up, okay, I do know that Nova, you know, I would classify them as a startup company, which is why they were on Kickstarter. They did reply to me that, number one, they did have battery issues, right? And once again, guys, just place in the actual battery readings that you actually get, right? The real world ones. So you can, you know, manage the expectations of people who buy this device. And once again, for the calorie count, medyo mababa siya. No, for this reason, like me personally, I wouldn't really purchase this ring as of right now, right? I would wait for them to sort of resolve these issues. But ako, honestly, I'm rooting for this company. We need more aggressive companies like Nova to enter into this space ruled by the likes of Aura, Human Ring, Samsung, who majority of them charge a subscription for when you use the ring. If not, they do charge a lot for the ring, right? So, you know, Nova, I know that you're watching this the same time everyone else is going to be watching this. Please do reach out to me and provide me a fixed sample unit. If you address all of these issues, I will willingly 100% review this again. So for everyone else out there, if you want to see more honest reviews, unlike all the other videos that I saw about this ring, right? Which magugulat ka talaga, no? Puro positive lang talaga, right? Guys, do like and subscribe if you want to support my channel and these honest reviews, okay? So, I'll see you in the next video. Please do like and subscribe, okay? Bye!